make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Good evening. Welcome into Greenie Sports Cards Live, the world's first multi-stream broadcast for the hobby industry. We are thrilled you have joined us this evening as we are broadcasting tonight for the first time along the Sports Cards Nonsense Network, along with all of our other multi-streams that we've done for really the last year and a half now. And for those of you that are just finding us and just coming along for the ride, we appreciate you joining us. We'll give you a little bit of insight of how this is going to work across the next hour from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the North Coast near the worldwide headquarters of Greenie Sports Cards in Twinsburg, Ohio, which is really Cleveland, Ohio. And we've got big news out of Cleveland. We've got big news to share. Certainly the Cleveland Browns news with the stadium, the WNBA. Cleveland's getting a team along with Phoenix and Detroit in the coming years. It is Bobby Bonilla Day for those of you who celebrate, particularly Bobby Bonilla. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Lots to cover in the sporting world. We're going to be joined by our resident hobby expert, Joe Wysmierski of Phoenix Card Shop, as well as Cut the Nonsense, our new broadcast on Sports Cards Nonsense that you can see every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And on this show, we go live. And it's really a show for the hobby industry, for you guys to interact, to comment. If you are watching us on Twitter, the X, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitch, all points in between, you can actually comment, interact with the show, as you see Sam Hill there with the shout out to Northeast Ohio. So we encourage you to participate, drop your comments in the comments section. And if you have a question for our guests, if you have a question for us, continue to do that. I'll give you a little bit of a setup on how this works. Week over week, Greenie and I welcome a series of athletes and influencers and hobby personalities. We've had front office personnel, media personalities, including play-by-play announcers, just a who's who of people. And we really try and keep the focus on the hobby industry itself. So we come at this not necessarily from an X's and O standpoint, but really more of a hobby storytelling standpoint to introduce you to influencers and hobby enthusiasts that make this industry go. If you were with us a couple of weeks ago, we were able to talk to Tim Couch, the #1 overall pick in the NFL in 1999. We talked to Marcus Dupree, the best that never was. We've had exclusive content with Dave Stewart from the National last year here in Cleveland. We've had Josh Young content courtesy of Hobby Ohio. We've talked to coaches and again, athletes, influencers, and really dealers, which are the heartbeat of this industry as well. And we will continue our National Sports Collectors Convention dealer spotlight this week. We expect that Steve Hart from Baseball Card Exchange will be joining us. Steve is a very elusive personality, but a big name in the industry. One of the foremost, if not the foremost expert on vintage and wax product. He does not do a lot of interviews, so we're going to get a chance to talk to Steve and ask him questions and on his road to the national, what that looks like for him. So lots to cover. Next week, you can expect Sean Bennett, the owner of Steel City Collectibles, who will join us on the road to the national, and we'll continue to bring you content and the like. So again, thank you for joining us. We appreciate our presenting sponsor, which is in fact Collectibles on SI. If you want to master the world of sports card collecting, Hobby 101 from Collectibles on SI is your go-to resource for expert insights, market trends, and the stories behind the most coveted cards. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, Collectibles on SI helps you navigate the hobby with confidence, explore the latest articles, unlock the secrets of collecting at si.com/collectibles, part of the Sports Illustrated family. Find it on SI. So we appreciate Collectibles on SI, their partnership with us, as well as Sports Cards Nonsense and their participation. So lots to get to this evening. Let's go ahead and welcome in the man himself, Steve Greenberg, aka Greenie. And Greenie, welcome to your show.
Hey, once again, thanks for having me. I appreciate it as always. I enjoy this year and a half ride we've been on, just talking, right, and getting to know a lot of people and getting to know the industry a little bit better from other people's perspectives. So, and whether that's been like you said, vendors, or I mean, we've talked to coaches who collect cards, right? We've talked to commissioners of conferences in college who collect cards. So it's been really cool. And I mean, every day somebody new jumps into this hobby, and we're happy to talk about it.
Yeah, and Greenie, we've got a lot of new people coming in as we do week over week, and especially with this partnership with Sports Cards Nonsense, where we'll continue to have content and distribute it on their platform. For those who don't know who we are, just a little bit of insight we would humbly share with you. Greenie has been buying and selling cards in Northeast Ohio and beyond for over 20 years. He's actually one of the largest collectible event producers in the country, with 25 plus events this year alone, including the Great Lakes Collectors Convention, the Mountain State Collectors Convention, and a whole host of mall shows and area and regional shows. He has a custom card division for NIL space, which is a groundbreaking piece of content. And as for myself, I'm not a buyer and seller of collectibles, but I've been intimately and directly involved in the industry for over 25 years. I produced the National Sports Collectors Convention on behalf of the IX Center here in Cleveland, the International Exposition Center, through 5 cycles when it was in town, and have seen upwards of about 15 shows across the country on the nationals, from Atlantic City to Anaheim to, of course, Chicago, where the event will be back this year for the 45th anniversary. So, Greenie, really cool stuff as this continues to grow. We mentioned it's Bobby Bonilla Day, which is the best summer holiday according to Andy.
I think he's 62 years old, and he's still getting 1.1. Is that what it is? $1 million?
It's about 1.2 at this point. And
what a great deal.
Jump over to Collectibles on
I think it goes till 2035, if I remember correctly. So he's got
10 years left on that deal. Yep.
We should all be so lucky, right?
Well, I don't know if that was his decision or his agent's decision, but he had about a $5 million contract, maybe upwards of $6 million, that he was staring at back in 1999, 2000. And he took what might have been the first deferred payment, or at least the significant chunk of deferred payment, over the next 30 years or so, or 35 years in this case. And yeah, he's still getting paid every year on July 1st. So congratulations to Bobby Bonilla and everybody else who celebrates
Bobby Bonilla Day.
Greenie, mentioned lots of news, particularly coming from these parts. We have the Cleveland Browns are going to be moving to a new stadium officially, pending some landmark lawsuits or some really strange things going sideways. The governor really rubber stamped the budget last night before midnight, and that's going to push through a $600 million investment, coupled with a $2 billion investment, roughly, from the Haslam family in private equity investment. And the Cleveland Browns are going to be moving to Brook Park, which, as we've talked about before, is a little bit of a misnomer. It shares the border with the city of Cleveland. It's adjacent to the city of Cleveland Airport, Cleveland Hopkins Airport. And so that is happening. And really, in honor of that tonight, Greenie, I've got my Chris Spielman jersey, which was worn at the first game in 1999 when they came back and
the preseason game against the Vikings.
It was against the Vikings, and I do have a piece to show too. As we've talked, Greenie, I collect. I don't buy and sell stuff, but I acquire stuff, and people give me stuff along the way. And I guess it's my PC, and I do have. I'll go ahead and share this from the opening day, the Browns versus the Minnesota Vikings, the very first game. And then I'm feeling nostalgic tonight. I do have a from Old Municipal Stadium. This is actually a brick that came in a piece that I have here as well on display from Municipal Stadium. So I've got a piece of the original stadium. I've got a piece of the Cleveland Browns Stadium, which was First Energy Stadium for a little while, that has actually not held a single home playoff game since 1999. So as far as I'm concerned, good riddance. And I've also shared having spent Thursday night in the snow and freezing and frigid temperatures against the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, and seeing Jameis Winston lead the team to victory. I've paid my dues. I do not need to prove my salt anymore outside in the cold in Cleveland. Bring on the dome.
Yeah, I have zero issue with the dome. All the things that it can bring to it. And I, like you, have been to quite a few games in old Cleveland Municipal Stadium. I've been to exactly 3 since they came back in 1999. The first being that preseason game, and it might only be 2, but I think I did go to a third at some point. I went to a Steeler game when Brian Hoyer beat them. But I was at a game. I would really have to look up the year. It was against the Minnesota Vikings in old Cleveland Browns Stadium. And it was the coldest that I've ever been in my life. And now my dad will tell you the Red Right 88 game was the coldest he's ever been when he worked in the booth with Gibb Shanley and did the games on the radio. But man, that Van Waiters, I think he caught a fake field goal to win the game. I don't know if it was overtime or the end of the game. I can't remember, but I know it was the coldest I have ever been in my life.
Yeah, that game against the Steelers might have been for me. Here we go. Brownies was there as well. I know that for a fact. And we had talked that evening how a dome would be perfectly fine for us Browns fans. So really a remarkable investment. And the way they pulled this together, there are no tax dollars actually being invested. I've heard a lot of that today, and it's a shame that the taxpayer money is going to fund this. It actually isn't. It's there's about $4.5 billion sitting in an unclaimed fund in the state of Ohio, and those are funds from tax returns or refunds or credits that we all acquire. And by the way, go check your unpaid refunds. You may have some money out there. Public service announcement. And there's that money sitting there, and they've allocated anything that's been there for 10 plus years as fair game as a part of this fund for the Cleveland Browns, as well as the other teams that are going to come calling, including the Bengals here eventually, and then also potentially the WNBA, Cleveland Rockers, which is not the official name. That was the former team. We'll see if that happens when they do announce it, but it was announced yesterday that Cleveland is going to get a WNBA team along with Detroit in 2029 and Philadelphia in 2030. I said Phoenix earlier, but it's actually the other P, Philadelphia. The league is expanding. Greenie, you are a huge women's basketball fan, as am I, especially the last 2 to 3 years. What do you make of this announcement?
I wish it wasn't 2028. I'd like to go to a game next year. But man, Terry Pluto wrote an article this morning of how excited Joe Tate would be to learn about this. Joe called the Cleveland Rockers games, I think, for 7 years when they were here. And and I can tell you from knowing Joe Tate as well, he loved doing about every other game except for the Cavs. I mean, and he loved the Cavs. Don't get me wrong, but he loved the Rockers. He loved Mount Union football, and he'd be ecstatic to know that the WNBA is back. And it's not coming soon enough. 2028 is, I mean, it's probably right around the corner. You know that we know it, but that would be cool. I can't wait to get a seat and see those games. The women's basketball in this town has been terrific for the last several years, and you know we've talked about it and our affinity with Cleveland State, Akron, Kent State, Youngstown State, Ball State, and the likes, even down in Wright State. And one of our NIL people, that Michaela Purdue, who's now in Arizona, and she will have a card in Arizona. She knows that too.
Yeah.
So, but women's basketball.
Thanks for checking in. Yeah, and
women's
maybe
basketball
she'll be a free
is
agent
pretty.
by 2029.
Maybe. Keep playing, Mickey. So yeah.
Yeah, very cool stuff. So we got the WNBA. We talked about Bobby Bonilla Day. We talked about the stadium. Greenie, speaking of women's sports, women's basketball, this was a very humbling week for us as we continue to grow this thing. Sports Illustrated called you and I pioneers in the college NIL space, and we want to thank them first of all. It is, as we've said, very humbling to be called a pioneer by a true pioneer in the sports media space, Sports Illustrated. And if you haven't checked out Greenie Cards, make sure you do that. We've got a roster of over 90 student athletes at this point across a multitude of sports, men's and women's, from basketball to lacrosse to softball to football. And you can see Ja'Cory Thurman there from Houston. Really cool stuff. Our thanks to Sports Illustrated, certainly for their partnership on the collectible side, but the article was unexpected and appreciated. So there you have it.
I mean, listen, that's the magazine that we would all run to the mailboxes for every single week. You know, while it may not be print anymore, it's still digital, and there's still articles to be read on sportsillustrated.com. And I mean, to have something written about you in that magazine, even though it's online, is still pretty humbling.
Absolutely. Greenie, are those magazines worth anything? Are there any Sports Illustrateds out in the world that are sought after by collectors?
Yeah, sure. There's special covers. Always, like, you know, the first time Michael Jordan was on the cover, right? The first ever Sports Illustrated has some value. So yeah, there are. It just depends on some of the things that happen, right? You know, probably the Olympics, you know, the Dream Team, something like that, or you know, probably Mickey
cover.
Mantle, LeBron's cover, right?
Shows
I'm sure
them.
Mickey Mantle. I'm sure a Yankees something, right? Kobe. So yeah, there are some. There's plenty that aren't. So not to say that you have a stack of 300 that they're worth something, but there are a few that are.
Very cool. So yeah, why don't we call an audible here? We think Steve may be on Central Time and biding his time until he jumps in with us. But we do have our resident expert, hobby expert, Joe Wysmierski of Phoenix Card Shop, who we can bring in. And Hobby News itself is powered by Cut the Nonsense, the new weekly's collectibles broadcast with hobby insiders Danny Black, Mike Giuseppe, and Joe Wysmierski. Episodes of Cut the Nonsense are available on YouTube every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And with that, let's go ahead and welcome in Joe W.
What is happening, gentlemen? You had mentioned the new stadium in Brookview.
I didn't even get to say hi, and you're just jumping right into whatever soliloquy you have.
Well, I want to know more about the state. You said it was right.
Say it again.
Is it Brookview?
Brook Park.
Brook Park. So the Brook Park Browns are now, I mean, technically, right? We're talking city limits of Brook Park.
Still kind of.
What do you call the New England Patriots? They play in Foxborough.
It's a region.
What about the Glendale Cardinals?
How dare you? How dare you?
Is that where they play?
which the great customers of Phoenix Sports Cards are continuing to support sales tax to that wonderful stadium. So we are appreciative. And then Michaela, bear down, right? Coming out to the
Yeah,
Awesome.
you're gonna have to go down to a game there, or
You
when
got a real one.
they probably play Arizona State.
Absolutely, they're in the Big 12, so 100%.
Yeah.
They'll be up. They'll be in Tempe, definitely playing. So that will be great. But congratulations on the stadium. We got out here. We got our stamp of approval as well. Oh, I like that. Lake Erie Browns, 100%. But they are going to allow $500 million to go back into the Diamondback Stadium, even after we got swept this past weekend by the Miami Marlins. So luckily we got that stamp prior to the sweep. But yeah, $500 million. It doesn't really affect a lot of Phoenix. It's just the sales tax from the stadium and then a few surrounding businesses too. So super cool that that's available. And I mean, we're talking about excitement of WNBA and women's basketball. Greenie, I was at the Phoenix Mercury and the Vegas Aces this past Sunday.
Ooh.
The Mercury 12-4, right? Vegas Aces, they're kind of sitting middle of the pack right now. The Mercury had 2 games in a row where they had 35 3-pointers combined in both games. So it was a huge record. They did end up coming up short. They lost by 3 in that game. Asia Wilson, dude, listen to this stat line: 26 points, 18 rebounds, and 7 assists. That's willing your team to a championship and willing them to a win. I mean, actually in that game. But when you want to talk about the sport being alive and a fan base being alive, 13,585 fans at that game in a Sunday afternoon. While the Diamondbacks were also playing at home, too. They started an hour and a half earlier.
Do we know the attendance of the Diamondbacks that day?
Next question, please.
7 people.
7.
Next question, please.
Yeah, Joe, this not to be trite about this, women's basketball is a serious enterprise. We've been fans of the collegiate game here, particularly Cleveland State, the last couple of years. If you have not been to a game, it is basketball in its purest form, and it's competitive. It's a great sport. You have talented athletes competing, playing hard. We have a running tally how many times these ladies hit the floor each game, because they're aggressive and they play hard. It's a great game, especially at the collegiate level, the Division I level, and I'm excited for Cleveland to get this team. We had the Rockers a few years ago. The team didn't make it. It didn't have quite the support it needed, but you've got Dan Gilbert behind it this time, and everything he and his team touch, they follow the vision, and it works.
It's also different times, and the sport is way different than it was in 2003 when they folded. And quite frankly, had LeBron James been in Cleveland in 2000, I don't know that team folds in 2003.
That's fair. I mean, getting the shock back, that team also folded, and they won a championship. Ruth Riley, Dame. I mean, absolute big time players at that time. But I mean, it is definitely alive and well. And I saw a great shirt actually when we were walking through. Gentleman had a shirt that says, "Everybody watches women's sports," and I don't think that could be more true right now. I mean, sports fans want to see competitive, high-moving, high-functioning athletes in its purest form, and you can see that in a WNBA game. I mean, 100%. I mean, literally, you want to talk about great watches right now. Unfortunately for us, Coco Gauff, United States tennis player, but she got upset in straight sets today. But seeing just high-level athletes and seeing those upsets, I mean, it's amazing. It's a beautiful thing to watch for sure.
Joe, I have a question for you, connecting 2 dots here. So talking about the WNBA at the right time, I had an opportunity years ago to go out to Phoenix and see an arena football game, and it was when the Cleveland Thunderbolts were here. My dad happened to call play-by-play for the team. We went out to Phoenix, and I was blown away by the reception there. You talk about the Phoenix Mercury and the reception. The arena team was completely embraced. There were 19,000 people in the arena supporting that. Phoenix, not to paint a broad stroke, but it's a little bit more of a transient city than Cleveland. You have people that have migrated out there. Where do these fan bases come from, and why are they so passionate out there?
I mean, that's a tough question because we do have a very, very transient market. Everyone's from somewhere else. We do have some locals, 100% born and raised. My 5 children will be born in Arizona, and they're sports fans of Arizona teams. But a lot of it, I mean, people just come from other areas. I mean, we have a lot of Canadian people that come down and they have homes down here. And when we had our hockey team, they would say flat out it was just more cost effective to see a Coyotes game, especially when their former hometown team was down here, because you couldn't get on the waiting list for Canadian teams. Like, it's so expensive to go to a hockey game in Canada, and then just the list to get tickets, it's insane. And at one point, and I hope I'm not blacklisted for this, but when my father had Cardinals tickets, I mean, we could pay for our entire season by just selling our Cowboys, Giants, or 49ers tickets. So, I mean, I don't know if that is a plug for being passionate fans, but it allowed us to have season tickets the next year to support them. So, you know, the Diamondbacks games, those are another thing. It's tough. Sports are tough out here because of the time zone too. So
Sure.
leaving right from work, there's not really a gap of time. And that's often why when you watch like Dodger games or whatnot, like you'll see some gaps in the audience there, but it then starts to pick up about the 4th or 5th inning as people are getting through traffic and getting from work to the events. But the other beautiful thing that I could tell you about Phoenix fans and the venues in itself, we do have very, very, and this is coming from a larger person, we have very affordable food options at the stadiums. Just at the Mercury game, $2 hot dog, $2 soda, $2 popcorn. So it does make it reasonable to bring your family. Like I literally, in my group, we had 10 people that went. And so it didn't break the bank to get hot dogs and sodas or popcorn to sit up there, cheer for our team, and get that whole experience. Because yes, we love watching the Mercury. We love cheering for the women that are out there and playing. But, you know, I've got younger kids too. They want a hot dog. They want cotton candy. And so, again, it didn't break the bank. It was a great experience, and it allows us to be passionate and want to go back to the game.
Who's the owner of the Suns? What?
That's a tough question. I am not 100% sure who the owner is. I would bring on Matt on.
Yeah, well, whatever his name is. I had read that he wanted to make concessions affordable, even at the Suns games.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the Diamondbacks too, they have their value, like hot dog that's $2. Like it doesn't have to break the bank. Like a hot dog can get cheap. We know that 100%. And again, there's nothing like, and I'm sure I might be speaking on a turn, but you guys can remember going to your first games growing up and having a ballpark hot dog, or when you're unwrapping that wrapper and you're walking over to the ketchup and mustard and the relish and you're pumping it down. Like, I'm getting chills thinking about it. And it's stupid. It's a hot dog, right? But I can remember those type of moments. I can smell that. I can remember walking through the aisle and stepping on peanut shells. Like those type of things, those are lasting memories. And if it's too expensive and you're just like, I don't even want to deal with it. Like, I don't want to go to the stadium. I don't want to do those things. Then that next generation misses out. But it's great because out here in the desert, they allow you to bring in water to the games, so you can bring it up.
Yeah, they better.
Yeah.
Yeah, they better. You need to get some stadium mustard. You haven't really had a hot dog till you had some stadium mustard.
Love brown mustard.
Yeah, that's a big thing here in Cleveland, and also a big thing at the Cleveland stadiums that you probably never got to do were the troughs. That's for another show.
No, we do have them. We have them at ASU. 100%. Older stadium, but back in the Midwest, in the winter, which I'm about to say, I know you guys are like, well, I put in the work. I went to the outdoor games. There was something about seeing that snow coming in off of the lake effect snow, the nasty, dirty snow coming in, laying on the field. And now you're going to be the only team in the NFC or AFC North that's playing indoors.
It's fine.
It's fine. That
fine.
home field
We'll be the only team
has not worked for us in 26 years. So let's try a different field.
That's fair.
So my dad chimed in via text, not via the social media, that Matt Isby is the owner of the Phoenix Suns.
There you go. A
Okay.
true producer at heart. Thank you, Art.
Thank you.
That's Dan Gilbert's arch nemesis in the mortgage industry.
Yeah, well, the
Right.
Ishbia taking over sports because I know his brother.
He's from Michigan as well. In case you needed to know that, Joe.
He is a Spartan, 100%. His brother just bought the White Sox.
Yeah.
Sam asked Bertman's or Stadium Mustard.
Stadium.
Stadium.
Stadium for me too.
Stadium Mustard.
I also, what's funny is I know you guys have mentioned the cut the nonsense. Someone brought this up before. They were talking about the Great Lakes potato chips. Born in Akron, raised the majority of time in Ballreich potato chips.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know Ballreich. Yeah.
All time greatest chip.
There's a
Stadium
Mustard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ballreich potato chip is a good chip. I've actually talked to them because they do some different things, and might be a Greenie chip one day.
Steve, don't forget that Arizona address out here.
Well, when you move here to Cleveland, we'll get you your own stash. Not the stash that you currently have.
The Mayflower moving contract for sponsorship.
We'll find them.
Hey,
what do people put on their? What condiments do people put on their dogs elsewhere across the country? I mean,
the Chicago people, they put that weird relish, the neon
blue relish,
or they put peppers, that kind of stuff. But I like some good old Stadium brown mustard out here too. I don't know if you guys have ever had a Sonora.
I had a hot dog at the Diamondback Stadium with a whole bunch of stuff on it. Yeah. I don't remember what it was, but I had it.
Yeah, they wrap jalapenos in bacon around a hot dog.
That's what I had.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Good stuff.
It was a foot long, actually. Yeah.
They also have a corn dog version of that too, where they put it in the corn, they deep fry it just like the State Fair style. Big win.
All right, Joe, what's going on in the hobby world today?
Well, one huge release this week. It's nothing crazy, but it's Panini. It's 2025, and it's going to be Score Football. So Score Football, I know we talked a little bit about it last week, and they pushed it. It does release this week. Tons of cards in one box. You're looking at 100+ cards in a hobby box. So you're going to get all the rookies that just were drafted. You're going to get them in their college uniforms. And then you're also going to have some veterans. But this is a product that's loaded with base cards. And there are some parallels. But if you're looking to just get a ton of cards for the guys who are rookies in this upcoming season, this is something, again, it's not going to break the bank, but it's going to give you the ability to have a bunch of cards in one box.
And you get your first chance to look at the rookies. I know they're not in professional uniforms, but you're going to get them all. You're going to get your 5th round pick, Shador, and you're going to get your number 1 pick in Cam Ward, right? And everybody in between.
Yeah, you're going to get former Michigan standout Mason Graham, who was booed at a summer camp I saw this past week from a bunch of kids at the Browns. But then when Jets introduced, they all gave the cheer and eruption. It was funny because Mason Graham was like pointing at the ring, but that really didn't matter because Judkins has one too. Like he's got one too, and he's got the most recent one, so it should be good. Concerns. I saw a lot of Browns fans that were kind of nervous with how Mason Graham looked coming into minicamp, but I mean,
it's okay.
He's a monster. He's going to be tough for you guys.
He will.
Yeah, there's a reason, and we could make jokes about all the drafting pundits and all these guys who may have some poor picks, but there's a reason that he went as high as he did. Like they did see something in him. They've seen the film on him, so he should do very well. And you'll have the opportunity to pull one of his cards in here. You had mentioned Shador. Shador and Travis Hunter are both exclusive to Panini, so. I mean, we should see a lot of football pumped out from Panini in a short amount of time. You're not going to see a lot of lingering stuff, I don't think, because next April 1st, is when you are going to see Topps officially take over the football license and kind of go from there. But just like Sam's saying, dude, it is super inexpensive. You can rip some packs. They're fat packs too. So again, if you do have a hobby shop near you where you're able to, where they open up a box and sell them by the pack, that's a great way to get into this product. And then eventually you will see some SKUs that will be retail SKUs. So at your Walmarts and your Targets and Dick's Sporting Goods, those type of things.
And your GameStops, right? Because they're getting real big into cards.
Yeah, they are. They are. That's interesting.
I heard they're transitioning into just cards, really. I don't know that. I mean, I can't tell you the last time I was at a GameStop, but that,
you know, product like video games and where it's starting to trend more to digital downloads and you're more or less selling gift cards for these games so that they can add these virtual bucks that they can use in these games. You have to pivot somewhere because I'm sure it is not cheap to have that many retail locations, and the spaces are, I mean, they're not huge, but they're big, and you have something that someone can walk away with. So sports cards are something that you can definitely start seeing take more of a precedence. But then also the TCG, Greenie.
Yeah.
That a couple of GameStops out here in the Valley are hosting tournaments for Pokemon. And so when you do that, to my knowledge, that then opens you up to be available for pre-releases on different products, which are actual tournaments. So that's something that's huge. And then obviously, as everyone knows, having the ability to go in there and grade cards.
Right, PSA.
Which I didn't know this until I saw the Card Father talking about it out in Burbank, that they actually have a PSA drop-off inside the new Burbank shop that is manned by PSA employees.
PSA, right. Yeah.
That's insane.
That is insane. That is revolutionary, right? Yep. I mean, and Rob Ferris does an unbelievable job out there and coming up with new innovative things. They have a huge card show coming, the West Coast Card Show, which I believe is the end of August. I'm sure I'm going to talk to him about that at the National. But yeah, to have a PSA submission center manned by PSA or female by PSA, I don't know who works there, but you get the point. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Steve, they also announced too, I did see on Collectibles on SI, that they did announce the pricing for the National.
Saw that.
$149, and you'll have your card back before the convention ends. Or this is something I would see you doing, is doing the $9,999 to have it returned in 4 hours. So
I don't have any cards worthy of that.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know that I have any cards that I would pay $150 for right now. That doesn't mean that I won't buy any, because what does the card have to sell for you to spend $150 to get it graded?
Yeah. I don't even think it's that what it has to sell for as much as that you're getting it back by the end of the convention, when you're hoping to do that so that you can sell it during the convention. So I mean, even if I'm submitting a card that potentially sells for $300.
So there's the thing though, and the caveat to this is it's probably really only $100, because you would mail that card to and from at $25 a shot, right? Maybe even more. I don't know what so to get it home by yourself at the end of the show, maybe that is worth $100 to somebody. And I understand it's $149, but if you were sending that from home, I mean, you'd be paying to ship it to and from anyway.
That's fair, 100%. And it could just be someone who really doesn't understand the whole process of going through and sending it, or has apprehensions of putting it in the mail, right?
Sure, people do that. People do.
So I mean, that 100, it didn't seem too crazy to me to send out if it's a big card and it's something. Or let's rewind a little bit. What if you're a customer at the National walking through and you find that card that you've wanted for your entire life?
Yeah, of course.
And you have that opportunity. It is a great possibility for you to be able to drop that off. Now, I don't know what the lines are like to get in line to do something.
Well, There we go. So, I mean, this happens at shows, and I don't know whether this will happen or not, but there could be a time where they cut it off because they've got too many cards. And to meet that deadline by the end of the show, they have to know how many they can take per day for that to happen. And I mean, I know that there's been shows that I've been to, not so much the national, they're great on site, but like where they take submissions, like Raw Review or something like that, and they're like, "All right, we're capped out. We've taken as many cards as we can take."
But Greenie, let me devil's advocate here real quick.
Sure.
Okay, your PSA, and you get to like that number has to be insanely high because
I would think so.
Money on the table if you're turning people away. Like,
I get it.
Through the night.
And I'm sure they're bringing hundreds of employees, I guess. I mean, they build like a Vatican of cards at the National. It is unbelievable. The space that they take up is bigger than our houses. And Jeremy will tell you, I mean, he's seen it. They build, and I mean, it's 2-3 floors. It's at least 2 floors of
2 stories. Yep.
It's a 2-story office that they create on this show floor. And you know, the amount of security that they have there, the safes that they bring in. I mean, it is Fort PSA inside the National.
Well, I want to have a quick second to also bring this up and kind of divert real quick from PSA while I can, Greenie.
Please.
Because as a Tigers fan, it's been a while, but our magic number is 63 before the All-Star break. I want to let you know we're a team on pace for 105 wins. Tarek Skubal, 13 strikeouts, 7 in a row at one point, this most recent on Sunday. I mean, I'd be worried if I'm in the Central right now.
But who's counting?
This guy.
Yeah.
We don't get a lot.
So let's talk about the other product. It didn't release this week, but it went on sale yesterday. Speaking of the WNBA, the Dutch auction, right?
Sold out.
It sold out. What was it called? Rookie royalty, something like that.
Rookie royalty.
So it started opening purchase of $30,000. Do we know if anybody bought it there?
No, and we don't really. I mean, we know it's sold out when we hit the floor, but there's no. We don't know at what.
We don't know who paid what. Right. What did it sell out at? I didn't get to see. I know.
Someone said I saw something online where they said.
I'll tell you this.
That's $3,250. There were none left, but the timer was still going.
So, I'm not going to show you who it is, but I got a picture from a friend of mine that says they tried $4,125. He tried it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and it wouldn't go through.
Did he know you're just getting 2 cards in that box?
Yeah, he knows what was in there.
That was tongue in cheek, but yes, that. Greenie, we were just having this talk in the shop today. So you're getting either a Caitlin Clark or an Angel Reese auto, and then you're also getting either a Downtown or a Kaboom, right? And the Downtown or Kaboom could be a Caitlin Clark. It could be another player in the WNBA.
Well, are we sure? Is it so? It's every player's available, or is it just those 2?
Well, I think for autos it was just those 2. It was Angel Reese and Clark. But I mean, the previous graphic you had up, it showed Cameron Brink, Kaboom.
Yeah.
Oh, here's my thing: is last week Panini offered the hobby shops Don Russ women's basketball, which historically Don Russ has had downtowns. So are they going to be in there? I mean, we haven't seen the sales sheet yet to show it yet, but I do know that this rookie royalty, the auto side of it, it's more of like a Chronicles base high level. So you have the opportunity for flawless RPAs of either Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese. But man, thank you, Sam. The wings do look like Viking. I appreciate it. But I don't know. I 100%. I really don't know what to expect. I'm hoping with Don Russ that you still have the opportunity to get downtowns of other players, but maybe this rookie royalty, it's just geared around that rookie class from last year. Honestly, the Don Russ is just last year's rookies, but rookies this year, Paige Beckers, I mean, she's breaking a lot of records right now that Caitlin put last year. So we'll see.
So, but she wouldn't be in this.
No, Paige won't.
Right.
Fine, but I'm saying hopefully the momentum keeps going.
Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely. And then I think I heard you guys talking about this on Cut the Nonsense. I don't know. I'll have to. Where's Mickey Purdue? Are you still here? What's the eligibility requirement for women? Do they have to play 3 years in college, or can they come out after 2? I don't know.
And that was the other thing that we were talking about, and a lot of that too is like body types and sizes, right? Like realistically, having the ability to be in college and go through that whole training process to put the right type of muscle on to carry you through a season is absolutely huge, because we know the dynamics of like a male and female body are crazy different. And so there's different times where muscle growth and those type of things can peak at certain times in your career, and being able to have that prolonged training might allow for sustained muscle growth and overall athletic potential in the W. So
yeah, I mean, Jeremy's muted, so he's trying to say something.
Hang on. Just to your question, to be eligible, domestic players to be eligible for the WNBA must be at least 22 years old. They must have graduated from a 4-year college or 4 years removed from their high school.
Interesting. Okay. So you're telling me Hannah Hidalgo has 2 more years of college?
According to the current rules.
Okay. Okay, that's good. I mean, I enjoy watching her play college basketball.
I'd like her to have 3, so she's eligible for the new Cleveland team to draft her when she comes out. But
I know, right? Yeah, you're right. That would be cool. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that, so now we do know. You have to be so you're 4 years, and right. I think Paige Beckers just played her 4th. So
it'll take one female athlete who will just break that rule in half. I mean, there'll be a superstar that comes through, and you can already see it at these different high school levels. We have a huge tournament out in Arizona. It's called the Section 7 Tournament Basketball Tournament. Hundreds of coaches are out there, all different levels, D1, D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO, all of it. And you can just see the different levels of women's basketball, I mean, exploding and playing on a super high level, where these courts are just crowded with people that are just salivating over the talent on there. I mean, even if we move from basketball, I'm a brag, you know, I've got a daughter who's going into high school this next year, and she had an opportunity to play. Flag football is huge as a varsity sport out here in Arizona. And they played a scrimmage just this last week over a gal who's being recruited by D1 schools for flag football. And if you get a chance to watch flag football, women's flag football, the rules and the way they have it set up, it is so fast paced and it's so exciting to watch. And again, I have a daughter playing, but they can rush the passer. Like, they literally can rush the passer. The line person, they can't use their hands to block. They have to mirror, but it's super interesting to watch. And again, everyone likes to watch women's sports. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're looking for great athletes and great competition. So it's very cool.
Jeremy will both tell you that the best wide receiver in Cleveland plays women's flag football.
I believe it.
Izzy Geraci.
Yeah. She's on the Team USA, so she will be, knock on whatever, in the next Olympic Games.
And speaking of Team USA,
please.
you guys know Matt Freeze?
Remind me.
Get to know Matt Freeze. We
Please.
just Costa Rica in the Gold Cup, right? Quarterfinals this past Sunday. We go to overtime.
Oh,
Excuse me. No goals scored. Goes to the shootouts. The guy blocks 3 penalty kicks.
he's the new Tim Howard?
Well, he's our backup guy right now. We have Matt,
Okay.
but he's really
Okay.
pressure on Matt Turner. Guys, please support Team USA Soccer. We
I'll
are
watch it.
Guatemala, the Gold Cup semifinals. So
When is that? Where is that?
I want to say it's either the 4th or the 5th, and it's
Okay.
here in the United States. I'm not sure exactly.
These are
The
new
World
days.
in the
We
United
are spending a chunk of time covering women's basketball and soccer in the
Yep.
U.S. How does that relate to the collectibles world? Are there any? We talked a little bit about the women cards, women NBA, but is there a market for soccer cards, and what does that look like?
Yeah, actually, there's a huge market. Just last week, we had Finest Champions League that did come out. Champions League is more the club-based, but as next year with the World Cup coming, which will be in North America, we'll have World Cup cards that come out. So it's huge. Soccer's huge because when we think about it, Jeremy, we're thinking a world sport. Soccer's played on every continent. I don't know that it's played on Antarctica, but it's a huge sport. It's followed by everyone. So, and that's what really the Club World Cup that's going on right now has been able to present in the United States, and it's been able to show that soccer has fans all over the place, and especially the amount of fans that have traveled internationally to watch their club team participate in the Club World Cup has been huge.
The World Cup will be in the United States, correct?
North America, there'll be Canada,
Okay.
United States, and Mexico.
Okay. Interesting. So, I mean, but we're a year away from that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because of COVID, we missed a year, and so they had it the following year in Qatar, and then that's why we get it kind of only 3 years removed as opposed to the typical 4.
Do you think it needs to wait 4 years? Is that too long? Do they do it? Are the women, are they opposite every 2 years? Is that how that works?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
But when you think about it, potentially it could be too long, but then you really have the Olympics in between. But the problem is the United States men have not qualified for the Olympics in the past 2 cycles, maybe even 3. So it seems like a lot for us here stateside. But I'm sure with the amount of championships and cups that go on throughout with the club and the national scene, because like in Europe, not only do they participate in the World Cup and in the Olympics, but they also have the Euro Cup. So they have a bunch of different things. We have the Gold Cup. It's not quite on that level, but it seems like there could be more. They could shrink it down maybe every 3 years, but it's another thing to get fans out and tourism, and it takes a lot to produce those. So maybe Jeremy, with your experience in production, throw your hat into the ring, maybe. I'm sure that'd be a pretty penny.
You never know.
On that level.
Never know. I appreciate the nod, Joe. I do want to shift gears here on another question, because a bit of a somber news week with the passing of Dave Parker. Really, for a period, was the best player in baseball. In his stint with the Pirates, if you haven't seen some of those highlights, particularly from the All-Star game in the late '70s, he could do it all. He could hit. He had a rocket for an arm. He also fought Parkinson's for about 13 years, and it's a heck of a disease. Unfortunately, I know that personally, but immense amount of respect for Dave Parker and what he battled, and we just hope Cobra has plays as many games as he wants here in the next world. Joe, I'll ask you. We've touched on this a little bit. We lost Pete Rose a little bit earlier this year. Ricky Henderson. When that happens, what does that do to the card market? It is a guy like Dave Parker, who, as I said, was the best player in a period of time in his game. Was there a market for his type of cards? And then when when he unfortunately passes, what does that do to the market?
Yeah, like with most, there's an initial bump with the sales of that kind of stuff because some collectors don't feel like there's enough out there for them to get, their one piece of memorabilia or a card. So they tend to pay up initially. But over time, you start to see that a lot of these personalities and athletes, they do spend a lot of time signing and putting things out there. So over time, the markets do kind of change. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it depends on the teams that they played too. I mean, you have a Pete Rose who played on a championship team, but unfortunately, the gambling thing kind of scarred his kind of scarred who he was and his star. But Pete Rose also signed a ton. So there was a lot of stuff out there. I could tell you, Ray, the general manager of our store here, he tells this story all the time about Kobe Bryant. And at the National prior to Kobe's passing, Ray talks about a team from Panini came over and they were like, hey, we have a ton of Kobe stuff. Would you guys be interested? We'll sell signed balls at $275, $300 a ball. And I mean, Kobe signed in a lot of stuff at that time, and unfortunately, Ray said we passed on it. But all that stuff could have been absolutely huge if we bought it at the time. I mean, you never want to think that way, but to your point, it really depends on how they were during that time. If they were not only a gentleman but a superstar, you see that they do have those core fans. But if they did sign a lot, it probably doesn't carry as much. I mean, you're looking for the rare stuff. You're looking for people that weren't as interactive with fans for sure. And then also the other thing that you're up against with some of the older stuff that we see come in, clubhouse signatures. So a clubhouse attendant signed for the team, that's one of those things. You gotta kind of keep your eye keen on it. So it is a thing for sure. We have seen clubhouse signature items come in.
Good stuff, Joe.
Yeah.
Let everybody know where they could find you in person, literally, and tomorrow night as well at 8:00.
Yeah, so hey, you can find us at Phoenix Sports Cards. We are on 59th and Thunderbird in Glendale, Arizona. We have a brick and mortar shop, and we sell sports cards and memorabilia and wax. And you can see me on Cut the Nonsense Wednesday at 8:00 with Mike Gio and Danny Black. We're shooting the breeze. We're talking. It's some good stuff off the cuff, but overall, it's just about sports and collecting and the hobby in general.
And a great store. I've been there many times. I enjoy it. My trips to Glendale, where the Phoenix Cardinals play their football games.
Where Phoenix Sports Card is located, yeah.
Yeah, there too.
We're looking at right now, this is about 3.5 weeks of mustache growth. I've been keeping it
Oh,
going.
I thought that was chocolate cake. No, it's actually got it. Okay.
There you go, Benson Boone.
There you go.
All right, Joe. We appreciate
Joe,
you.
thanks.
Appreciate your time. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Cut the nonsense tomorrow night. See ya.
Greenie, there's a segue. Speaking of great stores, you visited a great store yesterday. You want to touch on that real quick?
I did. Yeah, that's a great segue. You're right. Our friend Andrew at Hall of Framers in Berea, who we've met a while back and does a terrific job with framing and building up a lot of different personalities and things that in the Cleveland area. He has a vast amount of contacts and people that he's done work for, whether it's been private signings or framing of memorabilia for certain athletes that have played in Berea or played in college in the area. So we hooked up with him a while back. He brought some athletes, specifically Hanford Dixon, Greg Pruitt, and Reggie Langhorne to the Great Lakes Collectors Convention. And, we discussed doing some things in the future, and we wanted to go down, check out the store. We did a nice little jersey swap there, I guess you can call that. And terrific guy, terrific store, and some things that we talked about could be really cool.
And that's right there in Berea, Historic Hall of Framers, just a little bit up the road from Browns headquarters and training camp, of which the Browns, that's sort of gone under the radar as well. The team is investing another $150 million into their headquarters complex in Berea, Ohio. And for those who aren't familiar with the area, and even some Clevelanders who aren't familiar, really kind of Berea, Brook Park, and the city of Cleveland all kind of meet at a corner by the airport, and it's all right there. So within a 5-mile radius, you've got $2.3 billion of investment in the new stadium, with support from the state of Ohio and all of you out there that have not claimed your rightful funds in the last 10 years. And then another 150 million plus going in by the headquarters. So transformational projects here in the city of Cleveland, transformational teams with the WNBA coming here in 2028. And, Steve, we're still holding on. Steve Hart may be joining us here, give or take time change, but if not, we'll capture what he has to say. And certainly we were going to talk to him as a part of our road to the National, as our dealer spotlight. The National is coming up quick here. We're already in the month of July. That show will be in Rosemont, Chicago area. Again, Rosemont, Chicago, it's all the same thing, right? Cleveland, Brook Park.
That's right.
That'll be at the end of the month here. And what are you looking forward to? You're going to have a booth there. You're going to be capturing a lot of content. We've got a lot of people to see. What are you most looking forward to at the National Sports Collectors Convention?
I really like that it's nonstop all day long. So whether we're walking around on the floor buying stuff or there's people 3 deep digging through our boxes, the end of the day at 6, 7 o'clock when we get out of there, you're exhausted, and it is not a bad exhaustion by any stretch. Your feet are tired, your head's tired, but you have an enjoyable time, and it's funny. I have friends that I've kind of we kind of travel together and been around with. Thomas Fisher, who was on the show, Mike Milburn, who will be in the same configuration with us, and he'll be on, I don't know, about next week or the week after. And we always say, we get there on Monday and we set up our stuff on Tuesday, and it's like Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, and we're like, next thing you know, it's Sunday at 2 o'clock and the show's over. Like, it goes so quick. There's not one specific thing that I like. I enjoy the entire week and all the different things that you can do. And, the last couple of years I've had, a little bit of time where I just took away from the booth and I walked around. My parents came into Cleveland and we walked around the whole show. The year before, I think you and I walked around for a little bit. In Atlantic City, a fraternity brother of mine who lives in Philadelphia came down and we walked the show floor for an hour. And you don't normally get to do that when you're a vendor. Some probably do, but normally you're working pretty hard behind the booth. And I'll take some time again this year and I'll just walk around. And whether it's by myself or with, Alex Tressler or you or with Adam or whoever, Adam, the cameraman, I don't know, but I will take some time. And, it's 500,000 square feet of cards. I mean, what is not to like?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I've really come to appreciate over the last couple of years all the content and all the interaction. For me, for years, it didn't necessarily matter that they were collectibles or trading cards or automobiles or home and garden pieces. The shows for me were about setting up the booth space and the pipe and drape and the autograph pavilions and all the signage and the Wi-Fi and the electricity and the food and beverage, and making sure all of the component pieces of the event come together. And it was less focused on the actual content in the space. And so over the last really 3 to 4 years since coming out of COVID and having the opportunity to go to Chicago and spend time with you there and with the show in Cleveland last year, just really getting an appreciation for everything that's there, and that this really becomes the signature event for the hobby. And I know that Fanatics Fest may be coming for that mantle if they haven't tried to take it already, but there's a place for both of those events. And I've really come to appreciate what everybody does and brings to the table, because it is a tremendous amount of effort on everybody's behalf, and all the stakeholders to show up, to set up, to catalog your supplies, to price your products, to coordinate that, to stand on concrete for 4 or 5 straight days, to work those long hours, to get up early, to stay up late at the trade nights, to conduct business, and let alone the coordination of all the athletes and personalities that are cutting in. I've really, really just come to appreciate the opportunity to be in that space, and an atmosphere of commerce for the hobby industry, and just see the connections, and kind of continue to be a part of this thing moving it forward.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on, so many things that are happening, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens this year, and not even looking forward to next year yet. I mean, this is I think today's Tuesday, so as of yesterday, we go in 4 Mondays, so less than now, right? And the show will be here before we know it, and the show will be over before
It'll
we
be
know
over
it.
before you know it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there'll be a lot of amazing things there. I mean, the content that you'll see from hundreds, thousands, I don't know how many different content creators or people that aren't even creators that are just going to post some stuff. I mean, we'll have a ton of stuff that we put out, and guests that we interview in our booth or walking around. So, and not only that, I mean, we'll have maybe the StreamYard going and just show the booth live and see what's going on. And we'll be at booth 1338. We'll be right across from PSA. So this is the funny thing. You're looking at this, and I see this picture here, and I'm like, that is a big card show. That's only one room, right? I mean, there's another room that size, and then there's going to be tables upstairs, 75 tables on the second floor. And if you're familiar with Rosemont, that's where the Chicago Sports Spectacular is. So, I mean, this show will grow as big as they will let it, and who
Yeah,
knows
what
what
you're
next
looking
year
at
could be.
you're looking at there is actually 3 halls, and you're right there in the center one. And then, as you said, there's a whole other hall upstairs. There's over 3 million square feet in the Rosemont Convention Center. Um, just a remarkable infrastructure and building. And so, we were able to talk to Thomas Fisher last week and get some of his insight on what's going to be different and how they laid it out. And Haley, if you don't mind throwing that back up again, the floor plan. One of the signature things is the change in the corporate areas. And
Can you
so the
take
national
my name off of there, Haley, so they can see the rest? Can you pop that off, or is that a screen? That might be a screenshot.
So historically, the corporate area was kind of one area in the center, and coming out of COVID, it was broken up into two. The amount of interest and demand for space warranted that. And what Thomas had shared with us is through experience and learning, the producers this year decided to move those to the end caps, if you will, as draws to both sides of the building. And then, of course, Greenie, a couple years ago in Chicago, there was so much going on, and so much, particularly coming out of COVID. I barely spent any time getting over the TriStar area, and to think this is that event in and of itself, where you have at any given time 20, 25, 30 Hall of Fame, all-stars, personalities, celebrities, from Dennis Rodman to Ray Lewis to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. At any point, these guys could be there signing. And it was sort of an afterthought the way it was before, because there was so much going on. And so it is a destination for people that want to get those autographs and want to seek out the celebrity interaction. But this is just such a remarkable show. All reports coming out of New York with Fanatics Fest, that's a remarkable show. And the hobby has never been better, and never been in a better place of prominence and opportunity and excitement.
So that comment that was just up, that it'd be nice if they could section the dealers by genre, which I get that. I do. I don't discount that or discredit that. That the thing that makes the national unique is it goes by priority numbers, and people that have been doing it the longest get a chance to pick their spots. And that's kind of the way it's been. Is that the way it's always going to be? I don't know. That's the way it is now. And people have earned their right. I mean, this is the 45th national, and there's people that have done all 45, and they get that right. And we've been able to earn a place. There's people that are way up in the front of the room because they've been here for 30, 40 years, 25 years doing the national. And that's why you see some of the vintage, the first thing when you walk in the room, because they have the highest priority levels.
I was going to ask you, Greenie, if you think there are 43, 44 priority numbers left. There are, as far as you know, there are people that have done every single national to date.
There not many, but there are. Yeah.
It's incredible. So yeah, it's we'll continue to talk about the national certainly in the coming weeks, and we're going a little long tonight, but that's because we've got an opportunity to talk to one of the extraordinary personalities in the hobby industry, and that is Steve Hart. He's the founder and owner of Baseball Card Exchange, widely regarded as the industry leader of unopened vintage sports cards. And over the decades, Steve's reputation for integrity, expertise, and customer service has helped BBCE grow from a 500 square foot shop into a 13,000 square foot warehouse and 5,000 square foot superstore in Indiana. Steve is now considered one of the foremost authorities on unopened wax products, and BBCE is the go-to authenticator for sealed vintage material. So it is our distinct pleasure to welcome in Mr. Steve Hart.
Hey, how
Steve,
you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, which is great, and that's perfectly fine. Audio is great, and we appreciate you taking the time. Everybody knows about BBCE. Hey, there you are. There you are.
Yep.
Yeah.
I decided to leave the office early, so I'm doing this from home. So everything is spotty. Internet's in and out.
Yeah. Listen, we appreciate your time. We'll take a few minutes of it and go over a little bit of
no problem.
the things that you do and where you are now and what people can expect to see in a month in Chicago at your booth.
No problem.
So, Baseball Card Exchange.
There, you guys paused on me.
Yeah, that's good. You've had your store there in Sherville, Indiana, for a number of years. Most recently, the last 15 years or so, the wrapping of boxes has become such a major deal. And how did you get into doing something like that? What is the first box you ever wrapped?
I'm not sure, because it wasn't a business model. It wasn't an idea.
Yeah.
The reason we did it was because back in the late 90s, you kind of did it just so that when you shipped it, it wouldn't bust open in shipping. It would be nice and it would be compact. And then you put your business card on the bottom, kind of as advertising. Because as the box changed hands, people would see, oh, here's where it came from, maybe, and here's their phone.
Yeah, Jeremy, while the internet is spotty, as Steve said, I mean, that's exactly right. I have boxes on my shelf that have been wrapped by Baseball Card Exchange, and on the back it says, Steve Hart, and it gives the store address and all the information. And you know what? He's right. And when he first did that, it was just almost like gift wrapping, and now it's become like a grading system.
Lost you. Are you still there?
Yeah, we got you.
We got you. We'll fill. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. We're showing pictures of some of the stuff now. Yes, sir. You got it?
I keep losing you. Are you okay?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Oh, okay.
The internet's a funny thing, right?
Yeah, I know.
What I had said was, like, when you first did it, it might have been just like gift wrapping, right? Like,
yeah, it was just to keep the box intact and the integrity and structure and a solid piece. And then with our business card on the bottom, it was extra advertising as it changed hands for everybody to see where it came from. Little extra integrity, because nobody was, we were going to try not to sell any crap and then put our name on the bottom of it. That would be the dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And then, we started to do it more and more. And then friends of mine just started saying, hey, can you wrap my stuff for me? And I'd do it for free. I didn't care. But then more and more and more people started wanting it done, and now I'm like, well, now I got to hire people, to do all of this, and it's taking my time. So now we gotta charge something. So, but the one thing I'm happy to say is we haven't raised the prices in decades. I don't think anything in this world has gone down and not increased in fees over the last few decades. And I'm not just talking our industry, anything.
Yeah. So BBCE is as recognizable name as PSA, Beckett, and all sorts. But you actually have a full-fledged card shop that people probably don't know about, right?
Yeah, it's Northwest Indiana. We're a suburb of Chicago. We could be downtown in 25 minutes. So it's it's not like Indiana, and people are like, "What the heck is that?" It's just outside of Chicago. It's about 5,000 square feet. Pretty big. My manager Billy runs the place. He does a great job. I'm rarely there, so that's the best thing. Is I don't have the time to do any more, so I definitely couldn't be there much.
Steve,
So
we have an iconic classic rock radio station here in Cleveland, Ohio, WNCX. It'll be celebrating its 35th anniversary next year. And I bring that up to say the definition of classic rock has had to change over the years. And people have different opinions on what that means and the era of what that means. And what might have been grunge era music is now considered classic rock in that case. Is there a delineation between vintage in your mind? Is something, are the eras completely defined versus vintage and modern, or is there room to evolve along the way?
Well, first of all, funny you say that. October 1st is 35 years for me. So just like that station, yeah, in 3 months it'll be 35 years since I, started the company. I guess to me, vintage cards are pre-70. But that's because when I was collecting in the 80s and 90s, it was pre-70. Now I think it's moved more to 1990. Like you said, it's kind of evolved because, 80s stuff is big money, especially when you're talking Fleer basketball. Football is in the thousands, baseball's in the thousands, hockey. So pre-90 right now, I would call vintage to modern. Plus 90 is when the company started wrapping the stuff themselves, with their own wrap.
It used to be where you wouldn't rewrap a box that's already wrapped, but you guys do that now.
We do it now, and to tell you the truth, I'm not sure how much longer we're going to do it. I'm seeing way too many issues.
Sure.
With this kind of money that's come in the industry the last 4 or 5 years, you know what it brings? Yeah, all the slime. And I'm seeing some stuff that's just,
Sure.
I give the opinion of inconclusive a lot. Because,
okay.
I see stuff. My guys who do shows, people come up to sell them stuff. And a lot of times they'll just outright pass because just something isn't right because it's so well rewrapped and resealed.
Let's talk about the 86 Fleer basketball because you're probably the most knowledgeable of anybody. How long did it take you to really figure that out and know that if I see Clark Kellogg on the back of a pack, I know who else is in that pack?
The sequencing, we've known for decades. And then over the years, we've picked up other things. I'd love to get my hands on a sealed case and open it because the data inside it would be invaluable.
Sure.
If I could go through it and actually, over the last 4 or 5 years, we've picked up some other things too that I'm not going to disclose because otherwise then the people who are playing around will know another thing that maybe they're missing that we're catching. And then when I pass this on to someone else and somebody else takes over, I'll let them know some things that, I just can't disclose at this time. So same thing with
you have a secret book somewhere. Yeah. Right.
Well, if they could put 30 hours into a day, I'll write one. But until then, I'm not going to be able to do anything else.
Yeah. What can people expect to see at your booth at the National?
Usually at the National, we try to salt away some interesting items that we don't put it for sale on the website. So we'll have some. First of all, at the National this year, at our corporate booth, we are only allowed to sell boxes and cases.
Correct.
I can't sell packs at the booth this year. I can't sell packs, raw packs, graded packs, rack packs. I cannot sell memorabilia. I cannot sell autographs at the corporate booth. All I'm allowed to sell is cases and boxes. So anybody who usually comes, when they open that door Wednesday morning, there's people that sprint to our booth to see what we have. Well, half of the stuff we bring isn't going to be there this year, but not by my choice. So it's going to have to be, some very special boxes we've salted away. And even a few cases that I think may be the only ones I know to exist, I'll have out there. No hints yet, but you'll have to come to the show to see.
So that my next question, now you may not answer, is what's the rarest box you've ever authenticated?
Well, the one from the Mile High Beer Box find, he had a 48 Bowman.
Wow.
And it wasn't full. It was probably partial. It was probably 90% there. But that was unbelievable. That was the oldest and the rarest. We've done a 52. We haven't done a 53. Last Chicago National, we did a 54 for Nat Turner. Probably that. The 48 partial and the 54 we did for Nat.
Do you accept submissions at the National?
Yes. We'll be doing it on site. There's going to be a limit, obviously, because I can't do 88 downers for 5 days. But we will, take your stuff and bring it back to the offices.
Sure.
That way it could save you shipping one way, and you don't have to pay the national rate. You can get it at the regular price.
Steve, the National will be celebrating its 45th anniversary this year, and you've been to a number of those throughout the years. What are a couple memories that stick out for you of the National, be it a certain city or a certain experience? When you think of the National Sports Collectors Convention, what brings a smile to your face?
Seeing the people that I only see once a year. There's a lot of great guys in this industry, a lot of them. And, we have a lot of friendships with them, and I only get to see them once a year. What's really cool is when I get to see that guy I've been working with for 20 years. His wife actually lets him out of the house, and he can make it to a national. So this year, we're having a party on Thursday night at the National. Unfortunately, it's invite only because we do have a limited amount of money we can spend. But, there's going to be a lot of guys there that I've never met in person before, that I've invited because they're, longtime customers. So that's the most enjoyable, is getting to see the collectors.
It is almost like a home show for you. Like you said, I mean, you're 25, 30 minutes away, barring traffic in Chicago, which could be 4 hours, but in mileage, you're not far, your shop.
No, I mean, they should have it in Chicago every year. I mean, I'm biased because it's in our backyard, but it also is, the center hub. The airport's right there. The food is right there. The hotels are right there. You can be at the sports venues on the train in, minutes. The venues are great. So, I think dealers coming from all over the country, Chicago is just a perfect midway point.
Now,
but I'm biased because it's here in our city.
Absolutely. Is the shop open for people to go to during the National?
Yeah, we'll make sure it's open. I mean, most of the guys, are going to be at the show. We'll have about 12 employees, but we're going to leave some behind to run the shop. So it'll be regular hours where everybody can stop in.
I'm sure there's a lot of traffic of people that are driving too will stop, the Saturday before.
I mean, anybody coming from the East Coast or the Southeast has to go within 4 miles of the store at the bottom of Lake Michigan to get to Chicago. So you're forced to come right by us.
Perfect location.
Steve, you said something a little bit earlier that may be patently obvious to you guys, but to me just blew my mind. The idea that we're talking about the 84 Fleer and the analytics of it, and you would know based on who's in the card, kind of the algorithm of it. Do you consider yourself an analytics guy or a collector, or how do you define your relationship in the hobby industry?
Good question.
Or a business guy that does all of the above.
Is saying me and my team are the hardest working people in the industry good? Yep. All of my people that work for me, we're the hardest working. We won't pat ourselves on the back that we have the most money or the most inventory or what. I will say we're the hardest team in the industry. So, the hours we put in, the knowledge we gain is probably the advantage we have for what we do. Analytics, I do have a couple of guys who enjoy that. So they will sit there and enter data on their laptops for everything that we go through, and then kind of show me things that, come up way too often. That is not coincidence. That helps me going forward when I'm looking at things like this. And then again, some secrets that we know, and one day we'll talk about it.
I can't wait for that book.
Yes.
If we're
People ask
around
me to do it because there was a book written by the godfather of unopened, Mark Murphy, and he made 2 of them, but it's been decades since he has. So we can do some upgrades and some improvements, some new knowledge. But
speaking of talking about it, you have entered the foray into a podcast as well. Maybe against your will, but it's something you guys are doing with Phil and Rick. Talk a little bit about that on where people can find you and where they can hear your podcast.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it was an idea, and obviously, you guys for what you do, it seems like social media is everything. And me being an old timer in this business, a lot of it's gone over my head. So I've hired people specifically to do this. I still do everything I do with pencil and paper. I still, I do my taxes with pencils and papers. I'm far behind, but maybe that's what happens when you get old. So this was all built by Phil and designed, and then basically he just tells me when to show up and what to talk about. I don't actually know where to find it, to tell you the truth. I know if you go to our website, it'll link you to it. So if you go to bbce.com, right there, you get linked to watch them.
There you go. Steve, we can find your show on Spotify and YouTube, and I think wherever else you get your podcasts.
Good for me to know. See, I learned something from you.
Listen, we really appreciate your time. We love the stuff that you guys do. I've been fortunate to have stopped in the shop before.
Okay.
And got some stuff wrapped. So we do appreciate it. We know your booth will be a place we stop. And
have you been to the warehouse? I know some of the guys from Greenies have been to my warehouse.
Yeah, I've been there.
Okay.
Well, I haven't been to the new one. No.
No, okay.
But I know some of the guys have. Yes,
they dropped some of them dropped off large loads, pallets years ago.
yeah.
Nice guys. I like them.
Thank you very much. And that's the thing. When we get cases and we get unopened boxes, I mean, the first thought is, how do we get them to Steve? And I think that's what everybody thinks. And
luckily you can drive it, so you save a lot of shipping.
Yeah, we can drive it, which is great. And
unfortunately, what we do is heavy. So
the 88 Domino's cases, the 88 tops cases. Yeah. One day I hope to get myself an 86 Fleer box, which is funny because they made so many of those, but you don't see them anymore.
And nobody wanted it.
Right.
I told a story of how we helped promote card shows in the area in '86, and every hour we would have a door prize, and we'd give away a box of 86 Fleer. The guy would say, "I don't want that. Can I have a box of baseball?" Well, not really. The whole idea is we got to get rid of this basketball because we can't give it away, and literally we can't give it away, and nobody wants it. So yeah, it was garbage. It was absolutely trash.
It was. But are there unopened cases sitting in some candy shop owner's basement?
We know of one that exists, and it came from somebody in Wisconsin who obviously has been doing this since the 60s. I'm sure you guys know who that is. So the provenance behind it is probably, before that case existed, if somebody would have asked me, where do you think one exists? That probably would have been the only place I could have said possibly has one. And they did. And maybe they have another one, even though they told me they don't. But, other than that, I don't know. If you guys said I'll give you $100,000 to fly me somewhere and show me one, I couldn't take your money. I don't know where another one is.
Yeah.
Every day someone tells me they have one, but no.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Everybody. Yeah. And everybody's been to that baseball game where something happened, right? Everybody has an 86 Fleer box in their basement. Yeah. But it was a junk era product, and they did make a lot of them.
I wouldn't be surprised because maybe the next one will come from someplace of somebody who doesn't know what they have.
Yeah.
Hopefully whoever they sell it to is, honest with them about it. But every once in a while, Woody will buy out a candy wholesaler, and it'll come from a widow, and she'll have pallets of that era. And, it's usually all junk. It's 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, non-sports, sports. And, of course, it wasn't a very recognizable case if you've seen it. It doesn't even have a year on it. So I think if another one's going to be found, it'll possibly in that type of situation where it just appears when somebody doesn't know exactly what they've got.
When we drove one of the loads out to you, we bought a collection that had 600 unopened cases. There were 75 86 Topps baseball
cases.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not a single basketball.
No.
Not even a box. Not even
that 89-90 O-Pee-Chee hockey case that Heritage had last year.
Yeah.
I had not known one of those to exist. And the guy who had it thought it was 80-81 because O-Pee-Chee cases are kind of backwards. The Gretzky case has the year 79 on it. O-Pee-Chee would have 80 on it for 79-80. They used the back half of the number instead of the front half of 79-80. So he thought it was 80-81, which still would have been, $100,000.
Sure.
But then when someone told him to peel back a little bit at the top and the boxes were white, no, that's a different story now. Yeah. Now we're talking millions. So even like I said, even though we didn't know of one that existed, one did exist, and the guy didn't even know he had it.
The world is a big place, and things will turn up. I mean, you never know what you find in these attic finds. I mean, another 52 box will turn up somewhere at some point.
Yes, there's still finds out there. For decades now, people have been telling me there's just no more finds out there to be made all the time. Generations turn, families, people pass away. Things pop up.
They do.
Maybe not on open.
Like the patent office closed in the 1920s because they said everything's been invented.
Yes. Yet, so. 1971, I think somebody said there will never be a reason for a home computer.
Yeah.
Because it took up the size of your garage, a computer.
Right. And here we are.
Yes, exactly.
Three computers, 3 different houses, and we're all talking on them.
Yep. Yeah. Right. Even though my internet's spotty.
Yeah. Well, Steve, we can't thank you enough for joining us. We really enjoyed this. Before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you at the National, the actual event here at the end of the month.
Okay. We will have our corporate 50 by 50 booth right in the middle of the corporate area. So I think we're somewhere near Steel City and Blowout, David Adams, right in that area. You'll see our sign. But we also have 2 booths about 100 feet away. That's where we'll have all of our cards, which we're allowed to sell there. Okay. So we'll have several $1 million worth of vintage PSA.
Always fun seeing the stuff that you guys have. So now we know to look for that on the floor as well.
Yes. Yep. I think that's booths 940 and 1060. You'll see big banners for it there too.
Perfect. And what's the address of the shop?
2412 U.S. Highway 41, Cherville, Indiana.
Perfect. Steve, thank you much for your time. We really appreciate it. And we'll catch you in a couple weeks.
Okay. We'll see you then. Make sure you stop by. I usually can't get out of the booth much, so make sure you come and say hello.
Will do.
Okay, guys.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.
Yep.
Bye.
There you have it, Steve Hart, Baseball Card Exchange, a very rare appearance in the media space. So, Greenie, we normally go an hour, and we try and stick to that as a hard stop with our media background. But this was an opportunity we did not want to pass up tonight. We had a chance to talk to Steve Hart. Great stuff. So. Covered a lot of ground tonight. He mentioned Steel City Collectibles. We will be with Sean Bennett, the owner of Steel City Collectibles, next week on this program from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Available just about everywhere on your social media channels. So we appreciate all you joining us. We appreciate Collectibles on SI as our presenting sponsor. Thank you to Sports Cards Nonsense for their support. We're very proud to be part of their network as well these days. So Greenie, thanks to Joe W. Wysmierski out of Phoenix Card Shop. You can catch him on Cut the Nonsense tomorrow at 8 p.m. Our thanks to Haley behind the board, who does a tremendous job as always. And Greenie, thank you to you and your team. Cards forever be in your favor.
Jeremy, I appreciate it. And have a good night, everybody.